Hey, this is a quick tutorial on how to loop using Ableton Live. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do this, and I'm going to start with one of the most straightforward, which is utilizing session view and the clips and scenes. So just to clarify, if I hit tab, there are two different views in Ableton Live. There is the session view and the arrangement view. So we'll be focused on session view for today. So each one of these channels is a different instrument. So one of these is a MIDI drum kit, and the other one is a bass. If you're looping a audio track, you just need to hit Command T, and you could have an audio track. Cool. So you have these little boxes. These are called clips, and a clip is like a musical idea. So if I double click on a spot here, and if I was to input some information, I could put a kick and a snare, and a kick and a snare, and if I hit play, it will start playing this idea. Cool. And it just continuously loops this idea, and it loops it because under this clip view menu here, you have this loop switch button that is enabled. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, maybe like a little 95. Cool. I have the metronome playing up here to keep me in time. You can turn this on and off. Sometimes when I'm live looping, I might start with a pre-recorded drum kit, or something to give me time, and then on another track, I might need to enable this. I'll make up an idea, and then I could do this again. Maybe I want to continue, but with a new drum idea. So I might need to enable this track, and I'll click into here. Cool. Now I have an idea as well. Now, mind you, sometimes I'm controlling this. Right now I'm using a Novation Launchpad just to demonstrate some of these things. But, if you wanted to start a loop and close it, you would need to hit record if you weren't using a MIDI controller, and then you would need to close that loop by clicking it again. Any function in Ableton can be mapped. Instead of using this mouse, which is cumbersome, you could use, if I hit this little key button over here, I could map any of these slots to a laptop key. So this could be Q and A and Z, and it's also case sensitive, so you could have an uppercase Q too if you wanted to. I actually find it really helpful if you're going to use any key mappings to do it with the caps lock on so that you don't lose your hotkeys. Also note that if you're using the computer MIDI keyboard, which is basically turning your laptop keyboard into a controller, you can't have the same key map to both things. It's going to deny the key mapping to be able to use the MIDI keyboard. Or excuse me, be able to use the laptop keyboard. You also have MIDI mapping, which you could map any of these commands to an external MIDI controller as well. So jumping back into this idea of clips, if you have a row of clips, this is referred to as a scene. So I could play this whole scene by hitting this little play button all the way on the right side. Now I could actually jump to my next scene, which had this other drum groove. Now I could make a new bass line. I could copy this. Let's record a new bass line real quick. So I just need to arm record this track. If you wanted to do this, you just need to hit this button, and here we go. And now I'm gonna close it. Cool. Now I could jump back to the first scene, jump to the second scene. Yeah, and that kind of gives me some freedom. Now, let's say you wanted to record both instruments at the same time. You would need to make sure that both of these are armed. And if for some reason you can only arm one at a time, if you right-click, you'll see this arm exclusive. Make sure that is disabled. Now, if you want to record both at the same time and you want to record to a metronome, there's actually this option command, comma, in the preferences, where you can, if you go down to record warp launch, you could set this to start recording on scene launch, which is pretty cool. So now, if I hit this third scene, if you look, both tracks are recording at the same time, which is really helpful. Straightforward way of looping in Ableton is using something called the looper device. And this works really great in a lot of different settings. And so if we take a look here, you'll see you have this multi-purpose transport button, right, which works like most pedal loopers, where one time is going to start recording and the next one is going to overdub. Notice when I hit overdub, the metronome started. So the cool thing is that you can actually make up a tempo, and you can say something like, I don't know how many bars, it's a variable length, or you could say this is definitely 2 bars. So if I was playing my bass line, just my bass line, let's try this out. I'll click these buttons at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and I kind of hiccup there at the end, and notice that can kind of cause a little bit of a problem. So it can be challenging to do this with no loop brace, or with no metronome. But the cool thing is that, like, maybe if I started with the drums here, it might be a little bit smoother. To start with the drums, I'm going to need to actually put a looper on the drum kit. So here we go. Not bad. Cool. And then you could keep stacking stuff up on there. So that's one way of using this. Another option is, like, maybe I want to make something more ethereal, and I want a loop that doesn't follow the computer. So I want to make an ethereal thing, and then I want to bring in my ideas. So I'm going to use my bass, but higher up, and I'm going to open up the reverb. Cool. So now what I could do is, instead of saying song control start song, I could say none, and tempo control none. So basically, this is just going to be a freestanding loop that's not related to Ableton's global, metronome. So here we go. So basically, this allows me in a moment like this ethereal loop is not tied to the global metronome at all. So it's a really great way of making something more organically, feeling a little bit more like you're using your pedal board. And the one thing to mention about the looper device is, if I set this back to song control, and maybe start the song, and let's say that it's going to follow song tempo. So in this mode, if I have my tempo back on here, it's going to work just like any of the clip slots. 1, 2. Notice it waits. Cool. I'm going to bring the drums in. Now, the one thing about the looper device is, if I change the global tempo here, it actually changes the pitch of it. Awesome. Thanks so much.